I wanted to do some sort of tag, but I couldn't really find the right tag, so I decided to kind of make up a tag. I'm not tagging people. I mean, if you find this video interesting and you want to do it yourself, by all means, go ahead. But I wanted to kind of talk about who I am, so that way when you watch the vlogs and watch my videos, you kind of get a sense of my personality and, you know, kind of where I come from. But I figured that this would be a good addition to my channel. But I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am, not in detail, of course, because I don't want to reveal all my secrets. So my name is Ariel, and of course that's my YouTube name, but people can be creative with their YouTube name. But yes, that is my real name. I apparently was named after a girl my mom heard about in her school. Not really named after her, she just liked her name and so named me. And The Little Mermaid came out 2 years after I was born, so no, I was not named after The Little Mermaid, and I'm a terrible swimmer, so I can't be The Little Mermaid, sorry. So I'm 27 years old as of January. And I grew up in Maine, and no, I will not tell you exactly where, because that's my secret. Lived here my entire life. I grew up in a kind of small family. It was only me, my mom, and my brother. My dad, I will be completely honest, is a complete jerk, and I could care less that he was in my life. He wasn't, you know, a good father at all. I mean, even the times that he, you know, came back for a very short amount of time, I'm talking when I was like 8, he came and he took us to Storyland and a couple places to kind of make up for all those 8 years he wasn't around. But he failed because he was around maybe a couple months out of that summer and then he disappeared again. But he was just a complete liar and very childish, so he couldn't stay in one place for very long, and it was kind of a good thing he didn't stick around being a dad, because I don't think he would have been a very good one. But he left my mom when she was pregnant with me and my brother was only 2 years old, so it kind of shows how he was very immature. My life was still just as great. I can't complain whatsoever about my life, and when I was little I always appreciated where I lived. Of course, I dreamed about going to live with in other countries or other places, but I was a really happy child and I really appreciated being able to, you know, have the, you know, woods and whatnot to be my playground, and just having a nice country area to explore. I've always loved that. I really liked adventure as a child. My mom is the best mom you could ever have, and she's my superhero for, you know, what I look at as a super mom, because she did it all just by herself. And she has taught me many things about being a mom and just in life in general. She has taught me to be strong, to not worry so much about problems, and, you know, many things she has taught me. So I never missed out, even though I didn't have a dad in my life. So we moved around to a few different apartments. We lived with my grandmother until I was like 1 or 2, and then we moved to, I think, 2 other apartments before we moved to our permanent residence. And we stayed there between when I was 4 up until I was 21, and that's when I started, actually when I was 23, that's when I got married. So I stayed with my mom for a while. We did move into another apartment in that complex because my brother actually moved out to his own apartment, and that was kind of nice. It was kind of nice to have me and my mom. It was like more of a roommate situation, so that was really nice. But as a child, I never felt like I missed out on anything. She was always making sure we did things. My aunt always helped out and made sure we went camping, and my grandparents were always there. you know, they always would bring us to like zoos and circuses and all these events. So I had a pretty eventful childhood. Me and my brother were really close, so I think that helped us both out. We always relied on each other growing up, and he was such a good big brother. I mean, he still is. He always looks out for his family members, and no matter what, he, you know, tries to help us out in any situation. So I am truly blessed to have the family I have, because I think that if I grew up without a father and I didn't have the support of all my family members, I think that I would have been kind of a lonely child, but I wasn't lonely whatsoever. Grew up with many animals, like many pets. I had lots of them. I actually wrote them down because I knew that I was not going to remember them in this video. I first started off with getting a hamster when I was in, I think, second or third grade. I think it was second grade. It needed to go to a permanent home. It was just kind of like the class pet. But they chose me, and I couldn't believe it because I never got chose for anything. I never won anything or anything like that. So I was just so excited when I was able to take this hamster home, because it was a teddy bear hamster, and she was the sweetest thing. She would lay with me and she would fall asleep on me, and she was just like the cutest thing ever. So along with her, I had 2 other hamsters, a rat, 4 guinea pigs, 1 snake, 4 cats, a turtle, and a fish. Now with the 4 cats, that of course includes Stewie, who I have now and I love to death. Now my entire life I have always been into nature and the adventure of life and the adventure of, you know, exploring and whatnot. I haven't had a chance to go to another country, but I have always, as a kid and a teenager, have explored the woods and just like discovering new things, and I've always loved that. I think that it's good to do that once in a while in your own state or your own country, because you never know what you're going to discover, and sometimes it kind of helps you to realize things, to not worry so much, and to just enjoy life. That's one thing that my mom has always taught me. You know, take the little things and enjoy them, no matter what you have going on in your life, no matter, you know, whether you're rich or you're poor, to always just take the little things and enjoy them. And I have always grasped onto that, because in really hard situations, that has always helped me. Now, as an adult, of course, you know, no matter what ages we are, we can make stupid mistakes. So of course I've made some stupid mistakes in my life, and I've, you know, learned from them. I mean, of course they weren't as severe as maybe some will say, but for me they were regrets, and it has bettered me, and I think that it has made me a stronger person. I wish that they never happened, but hey, I mean, at least that I feel a stronger bond, not only who I am, and to kind of look over the flaws that I have, because I am a little bit OCD about things like that, and OCD about many other things, but I think that just forgetting the past of little mistakes and not worrying about them so much, I think is a great tip, not just for myself but for others as well. But I think that's helped me to be such a positive person. I don't like to be depressed for too long. If I'm depressed, I feel like it just makes your whole life depressing. So I've always been the type that's been bubbly for the most part. Even if I'm upset about something, there's a lot of times where people will come up to me and be like, "Hi, how are you?" And no matter what, I'm just like, "I'm great, how are you?" And sometimes doing that made me always feel good growing up. My teenage life was pretty basic. There was only one thing that I think was probably different than some people's. But around 8th grade, I got a lot of criticism because of the fact that I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's always a tough thing for a child being in a religion. I was very dedicated, and I know that there was some people saying it's just your family telling you that's what you want to be, but it was not. My family is very open to, you know, whether I wanted to be a witness or whether I wanted to be, something else. And they would understand if I wanted to change. But that's something that I always held dear to me and something that's always helped me growing up. So it's what I wanted to hold on to, and because of that, I got a lot of criticism in school. A lot of people were rude and mean to me, and I just really hate that you can't be, whether it's religion, whether it's something else that you hold dear to you, people are so critical of who you are, and if they just looked at themselves and just really thought about how if someone didn't like what they, liked, or were critical of something that they were passionate about, they wouldn't like that either. They would, be upset just as much as I was. So that was really hard. 8th grade was probably the worst school year. It was just a lot. On top of that, I had, these older guys in my school who would ram me into my locker when I tried to unlock it. And I've been tripped and, all those stupid things that happen in high school. And that's the thing too, is 8th grade was in our high school. We didn't have a middle school, so it made it a lot worse because I had the high school guys who were being complete jerks to me. Teachers are actually really critical of religion. I know that they don't say it or whatnot, but they really didn't like the fact that I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. My gym teacher was the worst. She was always getting after me, and if you talk to my family and you talk to other people who are actually nice to me in school, you'll say I was one of the most quietest persons in school. I was very reserved. I was very shy, and I didn't like confrontation or anything like that. For her to pick on me was really strange. And then later on I found out it's because she's not a fan of my religion. So that was kind of hard. I would go home crying a lot, and I'm not saying that because I want pity, but I am saying that because, I sympathize for those who have to go to school and have to be, that depressed about school that you come home crying. So if you ever deal with that, don't let people bully you, because that is probably the worst thing that you can let people do, is have that control. Of course, I could have stayed in school and dealt with it. For me, I really felt like I needed to just do something for myself. A lot of times I was too worried about what others were thinking, about what teachers were, thinking of me. So I told my mom I wanted to homeschool, and it's probably one of the best decisions I made in my life. Because of that, I was able to graduate with a 3.3. That's probably not that impressive to some people, but for me, I think that was a big thing, because I know that if I stayed in school, I would have gotten a lot of bad grades. I already was, and I think that it would have changed me a bit. I think I would have been more not so accepting, I think, and because of the fact of going through homeschooling, I was able to kind of change that, and I got better grades, and I was able to concentrate on that more and concentrate on myself, because I don't think I did that enough. And I think there is a time in your life that you need to concentrate on yourself and be able to understand yourself, what you want, who you are, all those wonderful things about you, to really accept yourself. So I think that for me, that was homeschooling, and that helped me out a lot. I was around 19. I'd probably say that was the most depressing part of my life. When I look back now, it probably wasn't as depressing as I thought it was, but I was just going through a lot. I had a hormonal imbalance, which completely shifted my whole body shape. I didn't have hips. It was really weird. I was eating hardly anything, but I was gaining a ton. My body was just completely haywire. I was getting like loads and loads of cystic acne. It was terrible. I never want to experience that again. But around that time, because of that, I just felt like I wanted to hibernate, which is probably a really bad thing, because it just only makes you more depressed. So that's one thing that I wish I could change. But in the midst of that, that's where I discovered YouTube. I started watching some crazy videos that people were doing, dancing and singing and whatnot. And so I just made them for my own personal use. I didn't plan on uploading them to YouTube whatsoever. So I made my first channel, which is not this one. I've had probably 4 channels in general. So my first channel, I was 19, and I just created it, you know, just to create. I didn't upload videos yet. I made this crazy video of me all dressed up looking like the gummy bear. It was ridiculous, and no, I will not put it up. But my family thought it was hilarious, or my mom thought it was hilarious, and my aunt really wanted to see it. So she told me to upload it on YouTube, and I didn't really want to because it was completely stupid and just something that kind of got me through that little period of, you know, being depressed and whatnot. So I ended up putting it up, and it got, you know, a decent amount of views. I can't remember exactly, but it made my family laugh. So that is how I started YouTube. And of course I made different channels, and I had to discover exactly what I wanted to do on YouTube. But of course, sadly, those crazy video times are over, which is good because they were pretty ridiculous. So as an adult, I lived with my mom until I was 23, and it was kind of like a situation where we were roommates because we ended up moving into a 2-bedroom apartment, and my brother moved out to his own apartment, and it was just really nice. She's like my best friend, so it wasn't like a mother-daughter situation. It was more like, you know, her being my best friend, and, you know, it was fun. So around that time that we moved there, that's when I started dating my husband. So we met when I was about 18, and he was actually 16. So we didn't really like talk at that point. We, you know, met each other, and we were kind of in a group all the time, so we kind of knew of each other. And then when I was about 20, I ended up talking with him on Instant Messenger back when everyone used it. So we used that for a little bit, and it was, you know, kind of just casual conversation. It was nothing like crazy. He became one of my good friends. I was able to tell him things, and I really liked that. In between, you know, that time and when I was, you know, kind of almost close to 22, I had my fair share of, you know, breakups and just guys who were really stupid and decided that I wasn't worth their time. Through that whole time, he was always there for me, and even though he didn't want to hear it because he'd rather just me talk to him about me liking him or something, he still listened no matter what. So around age 21 in the fall, I really started thinking about everything and who I really wanted to be with and settle down with, because I knew that the guys that I was picking were not, you know, happening in my life. They, you know, were just being really immature. So I just picked some really stupid guys, and I'm glad that I didn't end up with any of them. But I just thought to myself, someone who could really be there for me, someone who, you know, understood me, and my husband's name popped in my head. And for Riker, it was kind of a funny thing with that, because my husband always just felt like it was just gonna be us. He never really thought about the whole kids thing. I mean, we talked about it when we were dating, but we kind of just felt, you know, maybe we both wouldn't have kids. And at first that's kind of what I wanted, because I was scared of pregnancy or having the baby. I was scared, not really scared, but it was like I was nervous about it. So I just kind of figured, you know, probably won't. And when we got into about a year of our marriage, I really started thinking about it. You know, you watch YouTube, you see people with babies, and kind of your mother instincts, I guess, kick in, and you just kind of think, oh, that would be nice, you know, to experience that in my lifetime. So I kind of mentioned it to him. He was a bit freaked out because he was like, wait, we didn't want kids. So it took me a while to convince him. He would probably tell you that I more pushed him about it, but I tried to be patient, and I would say, yeah, about 2 years after that, or almost 2 years, we ended up having Riker, because we've been married for 4.5 years, and he is a year and 3 months, so it's crazy. But that's how we got him, and he was still scared. Being when he was born, he was still scared of the whole kids thing, because he didn't want to break him. He couldn't like believe that he had a little baby, and he was a bit scared of holding him and all that stuff. But he's such a good dad. He takes good care of him, and although he's not here for, you know, a lot of things as far as like being able to feed him and give him baths and all that stuff, because he does work a lot, so he can provide for his family, but he does, you know, make up for it, and plays with him, and, you know, helps him learn new things and buys him, you know, little toys and stuff. So he is turned out to be a really good dad, and he's a good husband. He's a hard worker, a very hard worker. He would do anything to provide for our family, but at the same time, he would also do it to a point where, you know, he's still able to still able to be with us and spend time with us. Hopefully I remembered everything about myself. Of course, in 27 years, there's going to be a lot that you'll have to, you know, kind of remember, but I'm pretty sure the, you know, majority of it, the little parts and the most important parts are what I was able to remember. So I think that's pretty much it. I probably babbled a lot, but sometimes I feel like sit-down videos like this can be good. You get to know about me, and then, you know, it's a little bit different than just vlogging and whatnot. So please leave a message down below, or a comment down below, telling me if you like this, if you don't like this, you know, if you want to see more of these type of videos, if you have any suggestions, any of that, just please leave a comment below, or you can message me if you don't want anyone to see it. You just want to send me a personal message, and I will look it over and see, you know, what I can do. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!